All right. What's going on, everybody? We are live. I'm going to give it a second for everybody to jump on, and then we'll go ahead and get your burning questions answered when it comes to virtual wholesaling. So I'm really excited to be here with you guys today. I know that several of you in the Virtual Wholesaling Made Simple group had some questions. Make sure when you come on that you go ahead and accept the StreamYard terms and conditions, and that way I can see who is asking the questions. Otherwise, it's a little weird. I don't know who's asking the questions, and I just want to make sure that I see everybody who's asking those questions. So let's go ahead and give it a second for everybody to come on. While we're waiting, as you guys come on, for the people that are watching so far, go ahead and drop where you're watching from in the chat. Love to see where you guys are watching from. This is virtual wholesaling, so we are virtual. And I love to see where people are watching from. So whether you're watching this on YouTube, you're in the Virtual Wholesaling Made Simple group, go ahead and drop where you're watching from in the chat. Love to see that in the comments, and we'll get rocking and rolling here. Today, we're going to be answering those questions. I'm going to open up the group here in a separate window, and we'll kind of go from there. So the purpose of today's live, guys, is I want to answer your burning questions when it comes to virtual wholesaling made simple. Lori, awesome. Central Florida, blowing it up. Welcome, welcome. All right. And what we'll do is we'll just get rocking and rolling. So if you have questions, just go ahead and drop those in the comments. We'll start diving into those. And as people, another person here, virtual wholesaler group, I love it. If you could go ahead and change or accept the StreamYard terms and conditions so I can see your name, because it just says Facebook user in StreamYard, so I can't see the group. So that'd be awesome if you could do that. But yeah, let's get those. Let me see if I can open this here in a separate window, and that way I can see who that is. Let's see. Nope, it doesn't show me for some reason. All good. Great, guys. Well, let's go ahead and start dropping those questions. So what questions do you all have for me? And if there's not really many questions, that's okay. We can just call it an early day today. I have a lot of things I can get to here. Podcast I'm jumping on here later in the afternoon. And so I'm here for you guys. That's why I set aside this time to do it. Okay, so we'll start with Lori's question here. And her question is, does skip tracing work for pre-probate leads? So leads where the owner is deceased, but it's still in their name. So wouldn't it just skip trace the deceased person's info? What's the best way to reach these leads? That is a great question. So awesome question, Lori. So with pre-probate, what you typically want to do is you want to skip trace the family of that property owner. So you can skip trace the owner, right? Even though they passed away, because a lot of times when someone passes away, the family will have their cell phone for a period of time, for a limited period of time, maybe, for the next month after the person passed away, 2 months. And so they'll have that phone just to make sure that if they have any people calling about bills or any other memberships or services, they can kind of get all those squared away and get back to everybody. So I would definitely skip trace the person that passed away. Call that number. You can also text that number too. But if Dave Frizzell, the man with a plan, thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Dave says you provide great value. I love it. So you want to skip trace the person, but what I also recommend doing is skip tracing known family members. Okay, and the way you find family members is when you use the discount link through LeadFusion, which if anybody wants that, just comment and I can provide it. Allie, what's happening? Good to see you on the call today or in the live. So do a search, and you can do a search in LeadFusion for a I believe it's called the Skip Plus feature, and then they'll give you all the family members. So you can do that. Another way to find the family members for someone that passed away is you can do True People search, type in the person's name passed away, and there's a bottom little tab there that says known associates, and those are typically other members of the family. You can skip trace those and give them a call. But when you're skip tracing the owner of a property or the potential beneficiary of a property when someone passes away, it's kind of like running around trying to find the right person until you do. So you're making a bunch of calls trying to find the right person until you do. Then when you find that person, then you hold on tight and you make sure you get the deal. But did that answer your question? Let me know if you have any other, if that didn't answer it, or if you had any piggybacking questions on that. Okay, Dave, man with a plan. Thank you, buddy. Let's see here. It's Allie. How can you run a quick comp search if you don't have PropStream? That's a great question. So basically, it's pretty simple. You can use any of the free services out there. You can use Zillow. You can use Redfin. You can use Realtor.com. So that's something that I would recommend using. And what I'll do, if you guys would like, I'll just go ahead and show you. I'll share my screen, so that way you can see how I would do it on these different sites. And then we'll go to redfin.com. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and that way you can see exactly how I would do it on these sites. So what you want to do is you want to go to Zillow here, put the address in. Let's just give an example. This property here, that's a bad example. That's multifamily. Let's do Springwood Court in Houston. Okay, so let's just say, for example, you're going to comp this property right here, right? Just pulling a random property here. What you would do is you would go down to the recently sold properties. Give me 1 second. And this one may not be a good option because it's for sale by owner, but still you can pull, because sometimes Zillow hides the comparable sales when it's a for sale by owner property. All right, give me 1 second. Similar homes. I think Zillow does do that. So you'd want to run comps on a different similar homes. Yeah. So you'd want to look at for sale. Yeah. So what you'd want to do is you want to go to Realtor.com for this one. So let's just do 5123 Colonial Avenue in Jacksonville. Here it is right here. So what you would do is you'd come down here to their recent sales. Give me 1 second. Here it is right here. Recently sold homes. There we go. What you would do is you come down here to the recent sales, and these are the comps that you would use to determine the value, right? And so one of the things you want to make sure that you do is you want to look at properties that are within % of the square footage, so within 20% of this here, up and down. So I'll give you an example. If you take a calculator and you say 20% of 1672, so minus 20%. Actually, let me back up here. 1 second. So the square foot of this one's 1308, right? And so what you would do is you would take within 20% of this square footage here. So within 20% of 1308. So 1308 minus 20%. Okay. So that equals 1046. That'd be the smallest property you'd compare it against. And then you would do 1308 times 1.20. Okay, so that's the largest. 1569 square feet is the largest that you would compare that property against, right? So you would look for the comps that fit that description here for square footage. Try and find that have the same number of bedrooms and bathrooms as yours do if you don't have something like PropStream, because it'll just make it a little easier. And then the other thing is you want to compare properties that are within 10 years of the build date. So ideally, properties like our property was built in, let's see when our property was built here. So this property looks like it was built in 1948, right? So you'd compare properties that are between 1938 and 1958. If you don't have enough sales with properties in that range, then you can branch out and outside of that and compare properties that are a little bit older, a little bit newer. The challenge is that when you start the layouts change of the properties too much, which makes them easier to renovate. And you get to be a point where you're comparing apples to oranges, not apples to apples. So within 10 years of the build date, within 20% of the square footage, and you also want to compare properties that are within ideally a quarter mile. If you can find them within the same neighborhood, fantastic. But within a quarter mile, half mile at the absolute most. And that's how you would do it. And you just find your sold properties here, and you would get 3 ideally to determine the value. Now, what you can do, if you're picking properties that have the same number of bedrooms and bathrooms, for a quick way to do it, especially if you don't have something like PropStream, what you can do is you can basically take an average of the three values. So I'm just going to pretend for a second that 279 and 295, let's see. Let's just give an example. Let's pretend for a second that this is a perfect comp, this one and this one would be a comp. So if you don't have something like PropStream, you would just simply do 295 plus 279 plus 199. Whoops, plus 199. Okay, they give you 773, divide that by 3, and you come up with an average value of 257, right? So obviously there's ways to make it more accurate and really drill down to the number. That's going to be really important because it'll help you get larger assignment fees if you know the exact value of the property. But if you're in a situation where you don't have money for marketing, you don't have money for PropStream, and you want to do this the free way, that is a great way to find the value of a property without having to put money into anything and using a free tool. So, and that'll get you started, at least your first deal, second deal, third deal, right? And then after that, once you get some money, immediately what you want to do is you want to invest money into PropStream so you can value properties a little bit more accurately, right? It's a great question. By the way, virtual wholesaling made simple, right? This is my cup here I got from Antigua. My wife and I went there. Been there twice. It's amazing. You guys got to go. We went to a sandals resort, and it's just awesome. I love the Caribbean. All right. So Lori says that's great. Fantastic. By the way, Ali, did that answer your question for the quick comping? Let me know. Okay. So another question here. What free tools are there to find buyers? Once a property is under contract, I get calls all the time where people know I've purchased. Okay. So are you, just to clarify, are you saying that you get, like, you're physically buying properties and people are calling you after you've bought it because they saw that you bought that property? Is that what you're saying? I just want to make sure that I get the right answer there. But while I'm waiting on your answer, a free place to find buyers, Facebook groups can be amazing to find buyers, right? And very simply, you ask them a question. Hey, are you a wholesaler, cash buyer, or realtor, right? If someone says they're a cash buyer, but they also wholesale, no, they're a wholesaler. If it's kind of like an unspoken type of thing, right? That happens. Someone says, oh yeah, I wholesale, I'll occasionally buy. You're a wholesaler. All right. So that's that. If they say, no, I'm a buyer and I mainly renovate properties and flip properties, then they renovate and flip properties. If they say, no, I'm looking to buy and hold for my long-term blah, blah, blah. The longer the explanation you get, just know they're a wholesaler. The shorter the explanation, they're probably what they're telling you they are. So know that working with other wholesalers is not a bad thing. Okay. I used to think that wholesalers were your competition. Wholesalers, you can't do deals with other wholesalers, and they have hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table with that mentality when I first started. Wholesalers can be great to bring buyers for your existing deals, and because they'll put more eyeballs on your deals, right? In fact, when I first started, I exclusively moved my deals through another wholesaler for the first year and a half to 2 years. I did this because he was an amazing wholesaler, one of the top wholesalers in the area. He had a massive buyers list, right? And he could move anything. And I just loved how simple it was, and I could just crank them out, right? So working with other wholesalers can be great. I just like to know up front that they're a wholesaler so I can make sure all the paperwork is smooth and everything goes to plan, because the more people that are involved in the deal, the more moving parts, the more paperwork, and it just, to make things go smooth, you just want to make sure that they're who they say they are, right? Realtors can be great. I was also told that realtors are the devil, basically, when I first started in wholesaling. Realtors hate wholesalers. You never want to work with them. And man, that cost me so much money. I have realtors that have brought buyers that brought entry for my deals, and it's easily added another $10,000, $20,000 on a deal before. So I highly recommend networking with realtors, and they can also be a great source of deals too, if they have something that's not listed that's in too bad a shape to list. Okay, cool. So Lori just has a question here. For properties coming up for auction, when is the best time to contact people? It seems if you contact too soon, they're not really motivated, but I'll reach them in time to get the house sold prior to auction. As a rule of thumb, contact auction properties. Yes. So auction properties, contact them right away. Here, People that are going through foreclosure, they're living in a constant state of denial. They feel like they're going to be able to pull a rabbit out of the hat and they're going to be able to magically change the situation through some big windfall. This type of thinking is what got them into foreclosure and is going to cause them to lose the house, right? So your job as an investor is to reach out to them. You don't want to mention the situation. You came across their property, but you want to dig deep with the 4 levels of 4 pillars of motivation, asking them the reasons on the property. It'll eventually come out of the reason why they're selling. And you want to make sure that you serve them in the best way possible, right? And here's the thing. You can't control if the seller sells you their property. All you can control is you follow the process and you ask. That's it, right? So that's what you want to make sure. And, what you can do is once they tell you their property is going to auction, or when you pull up the property in front, like while you're on the phone with them, you pull up the property. Let's say they say they don't want to sell and everything. You pull the property up on Zillow and you're like, okay, well, just notice your property is going for auction. If you don't sell to me, then what would you like to do next? Like, what are the next steps? And you want to say that very, very gently. Okay. Because if you don't, you could really upset them. And then you have to apologize, say it wasn't my intention to offend or upset you. Right. Because it's a very sensitive situation. You don't want to come across as someone trying to hop in on their unfortunate situation. Right. So you want to focus on serving them, reinforcing, hey, listen, I can help you avoid this foreclosure to where you don't have this on your record here for the next 10, 12 years. If I can help you walk away with some money, I'd love to help you do that, ease the transition. These are the types of things that you want to say to them, right? And remember, guys, we're in the people business, right? So you're a person talking to another person. At some point, you have to kind of go off script a little bit and just talk to them, right? And the way to talk to them is I like to talk to people like they're my own brother. Right? I say, hey, I'm gonna talk to you like you're my own brother, right? And this is where you've gotten to the bottom where they're not wanting to sell. They're in a situation where they are thinking they can still do something. Mr. Seller, do you want me to be honest with you or do you want me to lie to you? Right? They're gonna say, no, I want you to be honest. Okay, I'm gonna talk to you like you're my own brother. Here's the thing. Your house is gonna go to auction here within a short period of time. We have a very limited window to be able to complete our due diligence and move forward with your property, put cash in your pocket, and help you avoid this whole foreclosure and ruining your credit. So what would you like to do next? And then just see what they say. And then from there, they'll tell you, and then you can take next steps. But it's a delicate dance with pre-foreclosure auction properties because they wait to the last minute till it's too late, and then you can't do anything. You can even tell them that, hey, listen, I work with a lot of sellers who are going through foreclosure, and I've been able to help a lot of people avoid foreclosure. The one common thing I see is they wait too long the last minute. So I understand you want to think about my offer. You want to come back to me, but the issue is you have a very tight window. I want to respect that time frame. I've seen people wait too long and they lost the house, and they come back to me and they say, hey, I want to move forward, and I'm like, it's too late. Right. And I don't want that for you. So how can we fix that? How can we move forward today? Any questions? I usually find people have questions, they have concerns. I want to make sure I resolve your concerns so you feel 100% comfortable to move forward today. What type of questions do you have for me? And then that's the approach you want to take. Very soft, very just letting them tell you what they want to do next. Great question. All right. So I have a FSBO right now locking under contract in Tampa. Whoop, whoop. Reach out and let me know if you'd like the JV. We have a huge buyers list in Tampa. That's where we're from. Been in the area for over 10 years. So congrats. Love it. Big thing, guys, when you're locking up a FSBO or you're locking up an on-market property, you want to make sure you contract it for less than the listed price and you sell it for less than the listed price. You try to pitch a deal out to a buyer for a higher price and they can see it's listed. Doesn't matter if you have it under contract. It's a big turnoff in this market. So you want to make sure you do that. Nobody will tell you that, but I'm going to tell you that. Good stuff. All right. Thank you, Chris. Yes, sir. Perfect. How do they know? Okay. So how do they know? Maybe that was piggybacked on another question. I want to make sure I answer that. Oh, okay. I remember. How do they know that you bought the property? Okay. So yeah, it's in public records. So they're using a service like PropStream or Batch Leads or something. And what they do is they pull a list of the recent cash transactions over the last 90 days. And typically people are calling those. And that's a great source of buyers because those buyers like yourself, are buying right now, right? So that's how they know. It's all public records. Florida is a disclosure state, so everything is public information, right? All sales are public information. Texas, Wyoming, and a few other states that are non-disclosure states, which means those things aren't published publicly, and you have to subscribe to a platform or a service to be able to find that info. Okay, let's see. If you're asking that they're buying, they just send everything. They're probably David's been in this business for a long time too. Yeah, that is 100%. Like, hey man, where are you buying right now? I want to make sure I send you the property to meet your criteria, because I don't want to waste your time. I want to respect that. And they're gonna be like, oh, just send me everything. Everything is in where? Oh, all over. Okay, well, I do deals in multiple states. Send me it all. Got it. So you're a wholesaler. Cool. Good to know. Again, wholesalers aren't bad. It's just wholesalers, they repeat these same mistakes over and over again, and it's just silly. It's stuff, it's bad info that gets taught to them over and over again at these real estate seminars, and they just repeat it, and they think that nobody knows, but we all know. OGs like David and I have been around for a long time. We know. Okay. If your wholesaler wants to bring a buyer and ask the JV, what's the typical split? Great question. So that is based on the wholesaler. Every wholesaler is different, right? There are certain wholesalers that say, hey, listen, like we do, where we do 50-50 splits, because if they're bringing the seller, we're bringing the buyer, there's equal work being put in on both sides there. So we do 50-50 splits for all of our JVs, right? There are some wholesalers who basically say, hey, I'd be willing to do this for 10%, 15%, 20%, 30%. What I've typically found, the wholesalers that are willing to do it for a lot less, they don't have a massive buyers list. They just want deals. So they're willing to do whatever it takes to get the deal under contract with you so they can push it to their list. But not saying all of them are like that, just some of them are like that from what I've seen. And there's also certain wholesalers, and we will do this too if we find there's a large spread, right? So some wholesalers will bring us a deal and they'll say, hey, I'm not open to a 50-50 split, add your fee on top. So we're like, okay, let me take a look at the deal. I see that I can add like, $15,000, $20,000 on top because maybe they weren't really solid on their numbers. And I'm like, are you sure you want me to do this? And they're like, yeah, that's what I want to do. Okay, cool. We'll do it. But then, that's why I tell wholesalers, hey, when we work with you, chances are you'll make as much, if not more, if we do a 50-50 split, because we have buyers that can, buy at prices that most people won't. I've seen some buyers come through and they'll say, hey, Chris, I'll buy a deal from you for $10,000 more than the same deal on another guy, because they don't have the relationship. I've seen buyers undercut people by 10 grand just because they didn't have that relationship. So, but I agree with you, Lori. Because you work to market it, some random guy that a buyer feels like 50% is too much. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. So unless this wholesaler is just doing a ton of deals, right? And you just have to really qualify them and ask questions, right? To see how long they've been doing this, right? If they say, oh, I've been doing this for about a year or so, I definitely would not do that at all, right? It's the guys that have been around for a long time, like 5-10 years or more. Those are the people that have large buyers lists that you want to move through. But some random guy feels like a buyer. What I tell all wholesalers is I basically tell wholesalers that come to me, say, hey, can you sell my deal? We don't have a problem selling deals, right? So I just view it as a bonus for other wholesalers to put, to get more eyeballs on our deals. And so I'd be like, hey, if you want to sell it, that's cool. Just go ahead and put your fee on top. But here's the thing. I'm really big about creating win-win situations, right? So if a wholesaler that I don't have has a buyer that I don't have my list, and they bring a buyer, right? And they say, Chris, the problem is, you're asking, 165 for this property, and I have a buyer at 165. How could we make that work, right? At that point, what I'll typically do, if I don't have a buyer for a property and I'm like, man, I need to get this one off the books, or I don't want to put any more effort in this property, I just want to get this one done. What I may do is I may ask him, well, how much do you want to make? Let's try and make something work. He'll be like, okay, I need $3,000. All I want is $3,000. Cool. Let's get it done. Right. And then what I'll do for them is I will assign it once they have a buyer, only when their buyer is 100%, I will basically assign the deal to them. Okay. And then they will assign it for 3K higher to their buyer, right? So if the price is 165 and I'm agreeing to a 3K fee, I would assign to them at 162. They would assign to their buyer at 165. Done deal, right? So that's what I would do personally. A lot of the stuff that I want to share with you guys are stuff that nobody talks about, and they just kind of let you figure it out on your own. But again, I want to provide actionable content that you guys can take and do deals right now. This stuff that I'm telling you guys is going to save so much time, because I spent a lot of time spinning my wheels with other wholesalers and buyers, not knowing the answers to these questions. And got it. Cool. And I just want to save you guys that time. So awesome. So these Ask Me Anything sessions are short. Typically, they're around 30 minutes, unless we just have a lot of people on where there's a lot of questions going on. So we're reaching the end of our time here together. Does anybody else have any questions, or even the same people that have asked questions already? Does anybody have any questions that they need answered? Love to get those answered for you, especially if you are in a situation where you're about to get a deal under contract, but you're getting some type of objection from a seller. You don't know how to answer it, or maybe an objection from a buyer, right? And you don't know how to answer it, and you need that to get the deal done. Drop that now. Something I'm going to share with you as a virtual wholesaler. One question, and let me pop over to YouTube too, because I think some people are asking some questions over there. I want to make sure that I get to them as well. All our people on the YouTube. Okay, cool. So let's see. Give me one. Okay, cool. So a question that I got asked by one of my coaching clients, right? They said, what do you do if a seller says, there's this other company that wants to pay me more. Why should I go with you? Okay. Now, let me tell you what a natural tendency is for wholesalers. Wholesalers want deals, right? And so what the wholesaler typically wants to do is they want to tell that seller, well, let me tell you the reason you should work with me. We've been in the area for the last 3 years. We've done deals. We've, right? So here's the thing. Oh, this is a great one too. I'll get to this one. Seller doesn't care about what you've done. They really don't. Okay. When someone asks that, basically that's saying that they're not fully convinced you're the right one to go with. But here's the thing. You don't want to chase. Okay. If you chase, you lose 100% of the time, every time. So if a seller says, I could go with you, but an agent could get me more. Why don't I just list it with an agent, right? What you want to do here is you want to say, why wouldn't you? Totally counter to what you hear out there, right? You don't want to convince the seller. Well, they're like, well, maybe I will. Okay, well, go for it. Is getting top price your main priority? Yeah. Okay. Well, why wouldn't you go with an agent? They told you they could get you more. Well, why not go with an agent? I think you should. That totally is like a mental thing where they're like, what is this guy? Wait, this guy wants to buy my property, but he's telling me to do something else. So what they're going to do is they're going to start selling themselves on why an agent is not a good fit and why you're the better fit and you're the better option. Well, the reason why I wouldn't go with an agent is because they charge expensive commissions. Yeah, that can be pricey, right? Can be as much as 6% of the price, right? And then they want all these people to come into my house, and then there's fees like closing costs and things like that. Yeah, those are pretty expensive. I wouldn't want to pay those either. So, Mr. Seller, what you're telling me here is the reason that you wouldn't go with an agent is because they charge high commissions, and you said you don't want to pay those, right? No, I don't. Okay. And the other reason is closing costs, right? Just more money coming out of your pocket, right? Yeah. Oh, and let's not forget the repairs that you may have to make for the property before you sell it, right? So you may have to put on a new roof or something like before closing, and you don't want to do that, right? No, I don't want to do that. Okay. So what would you like to do next? Boom. The seller is then going to say, you know what? Maybe you are the better choice. You know what, Mr. Seller? I think you're making a great decision today, right? and then just take the conversation from there. So that's how you handle that situation. So when someone says, "Oh, I got a ton of other offers, make me an offer. I got a lot of other offers." Oh, sounds like you're getting a lot of interest on your property here. Why don't you move forward with any of those other offers? Well, I might. Okay. Do you want to? So you want to put the ball back in their court to where they have to tell you why they don't want to move forward with those other offers. What they may tell you, I remember one time I was going to a seller appointment, right? This is when I was going in person. And I had this seller, and she had a stack of postcards like this. No lie, this joker was like this thick. And she goes, "See, this is what you're up against." So I just looked at the stack and I said, it's a big stack you got there. Why wouldn't you go with someone else in that stack? And then she's like, "Well, it's a really big stack and I have to go through. It takes a lot of time. And I just don't have the time. I'm working 2 jobs right now and I don't have, and she started selling us on why she didn't want to go through her own stack. Right. And so I was like, yeah, no, I totally get it. And then when we made her an offer and then she was like, "Oh, I don't know if that's going to work." I'm like, "Okay, well, you could always go back to that stack. But the other thing you mentioned is that you're working 2 jobs. You don't have a lot of time to do that. You don't want to make a lot of phone calls. So where do we need to be today to where you feel comfortable? We move where you feel comfortable. We feel comfortable. And at the end of the day, you don't have to touch that stack with a 10-foot pole." Ha 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 ha. Right. So, and then we eventually settled on a price and got the deal. So the point is, guys, is you want the sellers to sell you on why they shouldn't do business with someone else and why they should do business with you. It's very simple. Why don't you go with this person? Why wouldn't you do that? I think you should. If that's what your main goal is, I think you should. And then watch how much money that saves you on deals. Watch how many more of those deals you close. I find wholesalers have a big struggle with that objection right there. What do you guys think of that? Go ahead and drop some. I just dropped some gold there. Go ahead and drop some comments. I want to hear what your thoughts. Let me know if you've ever come across that, because that is definitely gold and that can help out a lot. All right. So while I'm getting your feedback on that, what are your top 3 lead sources? So here's the thing. We used to do like 5 or 7 different marketing channels, right? The issue with that is it's a lot to manage, right? Even when you have virtual assistants that manage the marketing for you, it's a lot to manage, right? So we have dramatically simplified our business to where we only do 1, maybe 2 marketing channels, okay? And the main marketing channel we do is cold calling, all right? Cold calling is the most effective marketing channel and the fastest way to reach sellers. So what we do is we started cold calling ourselves, right? Then after we started cold calling ourselves, we got our first deal under contract. Then from there, we went and hired a team to do it. We hired some virtual assistants to do it. And then we grew that to where we had a team of 10 people hitting the phones, making calls. And that's how we generated the majority of our deals. When we were doing over 7 figures, we mainly came from cold calling, right? So cold calling is the main channel. The other channel that I like a lot is direct mail when it's used the right way. Okay. The reason I like direct mail is because it's consistent. It's predictable. You can say, okay, if I spend $5,000, I'm going to get a deal, and get it is in today's market. So you spend $5,000, you typically get a deal with direct mail if you're doing it the right way. So I like that because it's consistent. Direct mail is high overhead, right? So you have to be ready for it when you're going to do it. But I like cold calling because I can scale that. We've had 15 people on our team, 10, 15 people on our team making calls, crushing it, bringing us deals. And that's where we get the highest quality of leads. And we still do it to this day. So that's what I recommend. But if you are looking for other marketing channels, so you said top 3, right? So cold calling, I like direct mail. Okay. And then if you're okay with things constantly changing and things constantly being up and down, working, not working, then texting can be a good gravy add-on, but it's not one you want to solely focus on because it could shut down tomorrow and then your entire business would be kaput if you were just focusing on that one marketing channel. So, but our 2 biggest sources of deals right now is cold calling and wholesalers bringing us deals. We have a lot of people bringing us deals because we've been doing this for so long. We have a lot of relationships. People know we can sell deals. And so we don't have to do a tremendous amount of marketing anymore because we're just at that point. But that hasn't come for years, right? So Cold calling, direct mail, text, JV deals are amazing. I love those. So, but cold calling is by far number one. Is your cold calling in-house? So yes, so we have a call center that we own in Bangladesh, right? And our call center manager runs it, and he runs it for our cold calling team that we use to call sellers and get deals. And then he also runs it for our coaching clients. So we have actually a recruiting service where we recruit and train and put top tier talent on your team to make calls for you. And it blows the pants off of anybody else doing this right now. I can confidently say we have the best service for this. The catch-22 is we only offer it to our coaching clients. So if this is something you're interested in, we provide a full service for our coaching clients. We basically not only coach them and show them how to start and grow a virtual wholesaling business, right? But we also provide marketing services for you to make things much easier so you don't have to figure things out on your own. So yes. Okay, who to use for direct mail? All right, so several things. If I was going to start over, okay, and I don't know where you're at. If this is Allie, I'm not sure if this is Alex, it's just a Facebook user, right? But it depends on where you're at. If you're seasoned like I am, and I've been doing this for a long time, you can do direct mail yourself. You could find a mail house and you could do your own marketing and lists and everything like that. But if you're just getting started, what I would recommend, and you're ready to add this as a marketing channel, I would recommend have someone else do it for you. Right? So if that's something that you're interested in, go ahead and shoot me a DM on Facebook and I'll send you some of our services. We have services that will pull lists for you and do the marketing for you. We have services that will, manage your direct mail campaigns. It's completely on autopilot. So that's what you really want to do. So that's the overall goal. And I truly feel that if you're going to do it and be serious about it, then that's a great thing to do. And then eventually when you brush up your marketing skills, and you start seeing what works, then you can start launching your own direct mail campaigns. But I honestly would just rather hand it off to somebody else. Direct mail can be a really big pain to do yourself. I did it from the very beginning, writing letters myself. This is what we did. We wrote letters ourselves, and we would stuff the envelopes and have our grandmothers stuff the envelopes, and we pay them to do it. And I'd hire people off of Craigslist. I had $0 for marketing when I first started. So I had to do things the old gritty way, right? And so that's what we did. But cold calling wasn't around then. Honestly, I would have avoided all that garbage and just cold called people if that was a thing back then, but it wasn't even a thing back then. So yes, but if you are interested and you're at that stage where you have, $3,000 to $5,000 a month to set aside for direct mail, then I would recommend that you shoot me a DM and I'll send you one of my contacts that can help you with that and they can help you grow. Cool. All right, man, that was a great session, guys. Good stuff. I loved all these questions here. Let's see. When you have teenage kids, you can force them to stuff. And that's right. Absolutely. Form the assembly line. You can also build a calling team there too. So I love it. So you could do all that stuff. Yeah. So that's actually, I have a 7-month-old and we're actually grooming him to be able to work on our team. So, he's got a ways to go, but eventually we'll be adding him to the assembly line too. So not at your level there, Dave, but we'll be there eventually. Good stuff. Great, guys. Before I end here, anyone have any final questions before I go? All right, no questions. Fantastic. I'm going to cut it here then. And if you have a question, then you can go ahead and post it. And I'll try to answer it at some point today. But really, you want to come to these live sessions and get your questions answered. I don't do these Q&As a lot. I give away a ton of value. Stuff that I share with you guys, most people have to pay for, right? So I want to give you guys that value. So you want to make sure you attend these lives. We have over 400 people in the group, and I'd love to see more people come to these, okay? So that being said, guys, if you got value out of today's live and you want to start getting the results that our clients are getting and that we're getting, and you really are ready to kickstart your success in virtual wholesaling, then I'm going to go ahead and drop a link where you can apply for coaching. So go ahead and apply, fill out the form. And if we like what you have to say, we'll consider bringing you on, and I'll look forward to working with you. So go ahead and do that and watch this video again. Lots of nuggets in here. Take notes. Make sure you bring a notepad and a pen to every session we have so you can make sure you get the most out of each session and apply. Don't just be an info junkie. I want you to learn and I want you to apply, right? Implementation beats procrastination any day of the week. So let's get that going, guys. Have a great day today and let's get some deals. Talk soon.